Hamz.
Yo, Billy, Jay.
How you going, mate?
I'm good, my bro. How are you?
Yeah, good,
Yeah?
good. Did you used to be a personal trainer?
Yeah, I did.
So you used to work at Anytime, right?
Yeah, I work
See,
at Anytime.
I know we've met a few times. I know
Yeah.
we've spoken a few times. It's through social media and even at the gym.
Yeah.
But every time I've looked at you, I've thought to myself, I know him from somewhere other than our interactions. It was only maybe last week. It just came back to me. I remember seeing your picture on the wall
Yeah.
when you were a personal trainer or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and then it clicked to me. I'm like, I know him. I used to see him around. He used to work at the gym.
Yeah. Old me.
Old you.
Old PT.
Old you? How old are you? What do you mean old you? You're not that
Old
old.
me, nah, bro. A lot can change in 4 years. A lot.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that.
Has it been 4 years you've been out of PT? It hasn't been that long, has it?
Nah, look, I started personal training fresh out of high school.
Yeah.
So I finished my HSC.
How old are you now, though? Before we get into
I'm
how old?
23 this
You're
year.
23. Okay.
Yeah, this year I'm
okay.
23.
Yeah.
But so I finished high school.
Yeah.
2 weeks after I finished my last exam,
Yeah.
I got straight into an accelerated personal training course.
What made you do that though? Like, did you finish your HSC? You do your
Yeah, I
HSC?
graduated. Yeah.
And what was the plan? Always to do fitness, or you just
Yeah,
kind
I
of
was
fell
really
into
into
it?
it, bro.
Oh, you into it?
I
Okay.
was really into it, but then I don't know. I got promised the world.
Yeah.
And then I realized the fitness game isn't what it seems because
A lot of people realize that once
Yeah,
they get into it, it's. I feel like unfortunately people look at social media and they see one or two of these fitness gurus, and one of them's driving a Lamborghini and the other one's driving or whatever, and they think everyone in fitness. But I guess it's like that with most sort of career paths. There's always that one or two that everyone looks at and thinks, I want to be like that.
it's true,
But
bro.
yeah.
It's true.
So fitness, huh?
Yeah.
So you got into an accelerated fitness course.
Yeah, finished that in 3 months.
So you're a registered personal trainer.
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
So 3 and 4.
Wow.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
everyone was partying over like that break. You know how we get that 6-week break after school.
After HSC.
Yeah, after
Yeah.
HSC.
Yeah.
But I was studying.
Yeah. Okay.
I was studying. I was like starting a PT business.
Yeah.
I got a job sorted, Anytime Fitness. I
Yeah.
started at Walla Creek.
Okay.
I struggled.
Yep.
Honestly, I struggled because it's a lot different to what it may seem. Imagine an 18-year-old kid fresh out of high school in comparison to people that are already in the game.
Yeah.
They look at me, I look so young, I look like a baby.
You look young. To be honest, you look younger than 23.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I love it, to be honest. Yeah, I embrace it because when I'm 40, I'm going to look young too.
Yeah. Okay. So you started at Walla Creek in like right at. So you did your 6-week course, and then you're gone straight into
3-month course.
3 months course.
Yeah,
Sorry, and then
3
you've gone straight into personal training at Walla Creek.
Yeah.
And how it would have been a bit of a shock going from school straight to that, right?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I quit my job. I was working, where was I working? I was working at Chemist Warehouse. Alright, I was working at Chemist Warehouse, and then my parents are telling me, like take it easy, build up your hours, then quit your job. I was like, fuck this, I'm going all in. I quit my job. I had no idea what I was doing. Like I knew how to train, because before, the reason I got into personal training, little backstory, is that I was always like up and down in my life in terms of the way I looked. So when I was young, I was really chubby. And then from there, in high school, I lost a lot of weight. So I became really skinny. And then I was like, fuck, I want to put on size. So I invested so much time and energy into educating myself on health and fitness.
Okay.
Right? So then I was so educated on health and fitness, like in terms of the science and stuff, because I studied sports and exercise science in uni.
Oh, you went to uni as well?
Yeah, after that.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was the goal, And I was so educated. But the thing is, when in the fitness industry, it's not about what you know, to be honest. It's about how you look. That's what I believe, because, all right, yeah, you can know the bare minimum, but that's all you need to get by with the general population.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense because, I mean, me, if I was looking for a personal trainer and I went to a gym or whatever and I was looking for a specific trainer and that trainer didn't look in shape, then what incentive does it give me to hire that trainer?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me. And I remember growing up, I used to train at a gym in Hurstville, and I'd say 80% of the trainers there were out of shape. And I used to look around and look at them and think to myself, but how? Like, how are you here representing fitness and training and the pinnacle of fitness, and you yourself are not in shape? What incentive is going to give me to hire you? Like, what pointers can you give me if I already look better than you?
Of course.
You know, it just never made sense to me. And I feel like today there's still a lot of trainers that are out of shape and not completely in shape, and to them it's all about what you know. But if you're not applying it to yourself, if you're not applying, so essentially if you're not applying what you want to teach to other people to yourself, then I can't take you seriously. That's just my opinion anyway.
Of course, you have to practice what you preach.
Yeah.
You definitely do. And you know what? You told me that.
I told you that?
Let me give you an example. Like, you an instigator into what I'm doing now.
Okay.
Because I remember when I started Envision, right? I DM'd you on Instagram. And I was telling you, Billy, don't do this. And you were thinking like, who the fuck is this guy?
Because there was no face. There was no face.
Exactly,
yeah,
exactly,
I used to get messages from this page, Envision HQ. And I used to think to myself, who is this? I appreciate you reaching out. 100%. I've got no issue. My door's always open. But I had no idea. There was no face to it. I'm like, who am I talking to?
100%. And you told me, like, it's a bit off-putting. And then I sat there and I thought about it. And I was like, okay, I'm telling all my clients, you've got to put your face on your business. You've got to build that interpersonal connection with people. And then there's me. And it's just, you just say words, I'm doing what everyone else is doing, that stock standard marketing. After that is when I took a shift and I started to do my own content. Okay. And I made it more personal. Right. So that's what's made Envision take that shift, right?
Oh, that's nice. You were
part of it, bro.
That's nice to know.
I'm being honest. It was that moment in the gym, Everything happens for a reason.
That's the day where you approached me in the gym and you introduced yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then I remember saying to you, mate, like, I love what you do, but you got to put a face
100%.
behind what you're doing. Otherwise, it was very off-putting because, you don't know who you're talking to. But no, I'm glad I could have been part of your journey. I'm glad. Of course, I'm very happy, and I appreciate the feedback. Thank you.
One of the reasons. Sorry to cut you off. Yeah. I didn't want to put my face on. Was we mentioned before the camera started rolling. Yeah. It's that tall poppy syndrome.
Tall poppy syndrome.
Yeah, tall poppy
it's
syndrome.
huge in Australia.
It is, eh?
We're known for it globally here in New Zealand. It almost originated here. Yeah.
Big reason, bro, especially within the community. Like, the second people start seeing you doing something that's out of the ordinary, they make you look like you're crazy. Or you're doing something that's not normal, or something's wrong with you, or you're doing something wrong, And then the second that they start seeing you do well, that's when it's like, I see you doing this. Yeah. Oh, yeah, how's that going? Like, it's not, they're not asking because they want to know. Yeah. It's because they want to know. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you realize it, like, you just feel that energy shift, especially from the start. Like, when you start something, you're the only one that, like, you program your mind to just fucking clock on. That's it. I solely believe this is going to work, right? Everyone around
you have to believe it's going to work. If you want to start anything,
100%.
You can't go in with negativity in your mind, like, oh, what's plan B, or this might not work, because it's what you said. It's all energy, It's you got to put in the energy and the effort, and you got to 100% believe. If you're starting something, you got to have that end goal in your head. You have to believe you're going to reach it, no matter what. Because if you don't, you're always going to have that doubt in your head, and doubt kills all dreams.
Self-sabotage.
Yeah, self-sabotage.
That was like a big hurdle for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, self-sabotage was like something like, I can say I've conquered it. So fuck you, self-sabotage. I've conquered it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, look, like you said, man, tall poppy syndrome is rife in Australia and New Zealand. We're known for it globally here. And if you listen to people that have, grown up in Australia or lived in Australia for a specific period of time and had a business or tried to start something, and then they've moved overseas and lived overseas, whether it be the US or the UAE or Europe or anywhere, pretty much anywhere else, they immediately notice the difference in people's reactions. Because, I've experienced it myself. I've been to the US a couple of times. I've been to the UAE a few times. And you see it. You see it firsthand. If you start something, or if you're doing something, or if you're driving a nice car, for example, overseas, people are they're approaching you and asking you, how did you do it? As opposed to, where'd you get the money?
Yeah, oh, bad.
It's two very different mindsets, But in Australia, it's rife, mate. It's crazy, and I feel like more so within communities, and it's just unfortunate. It's unfortunate. But you must have felt a lot of that, shifting from being a personal trainer to now doing social media. I'm sure a lot of people would have said, Hamz, you're crazy. What are you doing? Oh, that's not going to work. Why are you wasting your time? What do you know about social media?
A lot more than that, bro.
Yeah.
Like, it was.
So
I wish it was just that.
let's talk about it. So
What
what made you jump into Envision though? What made you start that? Because you were 4 years personal training?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know
so
what? It was a series of unexpected events.
tell us.
So, all right, let me give you a bit of backstory. So, started personal training.
Mm-hmm.
When I was PTing, this is what led to Envision becoming Envision.
Mm.
So I started PTing. I had this client, old friend of mine, good friend of mine. He started a record label. All right.
A music label, yeah.
A music label, right?
Yep.
So I started working in the music industry
Mm.
while I was PTing. I know. I started working in the music industry after I was PTing. So
Doing
I was a talent manager.
okay.
So I was managing people. With that, I learned a lot of skills, like especially social media skills and people skills, right? So hanging around a lot of videographers that work with a lot of artists, right? Internationally, like national. It was crazy, It was something I hadn't experienced before. So when I was in there, I was like, whoa, this is insane. And everyone around me is going, what the fuck? Every time they say me, oh, you do music now, huh? When are you going to start rapping? Like they run amok on me, Little did they know that I wasn't...
And these are your mates.
Mates, people you see in the area,
Yeah.
Because it's different.
It's just immediate like
Immediate
negativity.
response, bro. 100%.
Yeah.
What's this bloke doing? And look, at that point in my life, I was a bit lost, I was going through a stage where I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life.
Yeah.
Had a lot of friends going to uni. I was in uni at the time too. But I always knew, like, uni is a joke. I'll be honest with you. Like, unless you're studying, to become, like, a lawyer, a doctor, physiotherapist, chiropractor, someone like a physician or
something
some sort.
specific.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uni's a joke. You're going to go get a bachelor's of arts. What are you going to do with that? Or study business? You can't study business. You learn business from day-to-day communication with people, because you have to deal with people to do business. Business isn't just based on a book you read in uni. It's how you actually do business. And you'd know, you're fucking, mashallah, alek. You've been there, done that.
Thank you, yeah.
And like, would you agree? You can't learn business reading just a book.
Look, for me, I did study business. I did go to uni and study business, but more so just to keep my parents happy.
Of course.
They wanted me to go to uni. My dad made it very clear when I finished school. I didn't leave a war-torn country and travel halfway across the world to have a family and give you a safe upbringing for you to go off and do a trade or do... Because, back then, tradies weren't looked at as they are now. If you were a tradie or if you were a hairdresser or if you were anything in the service-based industry or whatever, it was almost looked down upon. Like there was a stigma around it. Like, you only become a sparky if you don't know what you're doing with your life. You only become a hairdresser if you don't know what you're doing with your life, Which for a lot of people was the case. But yeah, so my dad was like, nah, mate, like you're going to university. So I thought to myself, okay, like, I don't want to be a doctor. I don't want to be a lawyer. I don't want to be any of that. My passion is business and growing businesses and all that sort of stuff. And at the time, I was passionate about hair. I wanted to be a hairdresser originally, but not be a hairdresser just to cut hair. My passion was I want to be a hairdresser. I want to grow a personal brand. I want to build a brand and I want to grow. So I said, okay, just to keep my dad happy, I'll go to uni and study business. So, yeah, finished that and then got into hair pretty much a couple of years after that. But yeah, so now I agree with what you're saying. And me and my wife debate about this from time to time about the kids. For me, I feel like uni is only important is if you're going to do something specific. If you want to be a lawyer, you want to be a doctor, you want to be an architect, you want to be, something that's specific that actually requires the degree. Okay, but if you're going to go study business or study a Bachelor of Arts or a Bachelor of Communications or whatever it is, don't waste your time.
It's a bit silly, yeah. Because imagine that. In 3 years...
You've racked up a $80,000 debt.
For what? Go on YouTube.
And you have a guy teaching you business has never ran a business.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny. Yeah, the bloke teaching you business...
Has never owned a business.
He's never owned a business.
Like my business studies teacher in high school, like in Oatley, I asked him once, so sir, what sort of businesses have you run in the past? I've never owned a business. I've been a teacher for 30 years. I'm like, how can you teach me about business? What do you know about business? You've read a book. Okay, cool. I'll read the book. So why am I spending an hour, 2 hours a week in your class? Then I have to sit exams and all that. You can't teach me anything specific. So that was my thought process. But it goes back to what you're saying. Unless you're studying something specific, yeah.
No point. Just wasting your time.
Yeah.
My business studies teacher, to be honest, in all honesty, she was actually the complete opposite to your business studies teacher. She had a donut business.
Okay.
Like she would like sell donuts.
Well, there you go. She was actually running a business.
Yeah, she's ran businesses before, but one thing I took from her was when she explained to me that schools are just a massive business and it's all just bullshit. This is my business studies teacher, the head of the HSIE department, right?
Yeah.
She's telling me school's just a business, uni's just a business, it's all just a big business. In other words, she's telling me like, you guys shouldn't be here, but you're here and you're just stuck. And then after that, it just started playing in my head. So like, finished high school, went to uni. Of course, same story as you. Parents come from a war-torn country. They lived through the Civil War, the Beirut, everything. They've seen it all. Yeah. Dad got shipped off to Russia in like the 70s, 80s, lived there. So they come from that. And they come here and it's like, okay, we didn't come here, start a life for you not to go get an education, not to go to uni, So you go to uni and then you realize like, fuck, what is this? I used to sit in class, in all honesty, I used to sit in class on my laptop and look for things to do, like businesses, things to start, And during uni was COVID. So all that shit about drop shipping and all of that was coming out and I'm looking at...
It's crazy, man. You make me feel so old. During uni was COVID.
I'm telling you now, it was COVID, bro. And like, I'm just trying to escape. I'd sit in class like, alright, I'm interested in this. And I'd be talking to everyone. Oh, what do you want to do? What do you want to do when like uni finishes? I want to go work for someone. I might get this job. It's paying this amount. I'm like, alright, just a bunch of NPCs. Like, think bigger, think outside the box. Everyone has the same.
Look, that's not to say that working for someone in the beginning is bad. I think working for someone is very beneficial, very important when you're first starting out, when you're young. It teaches you a lot. Like it goes back to what we're saying. You want to run a business, you need to learn how to run a business, and the best way to learn how to run a business is to work for someone that's running a business, and follow them around and learn everything you can through them. But I feel like a lot of people today are trying to, skip that part. They're trying to bypass that, go straight from school straight into running a business, and I want the Lambo by the time I'm 25. Yeah. So I get what you're saying, but I do think it's important to get some experience first.
Oh, definitely. I reworded that wrong. Like, I'm talking about the long-term angle. Because you're right. You're going to learn to run a business if you haven't had anyone teach you how to run a business. And it's different to watching someone online. Yeah, you can watch online, learn the skills and stuff. But when you're in person, talking to another person, have you realised this is a problem? People have become so insecure, hey? Like, people don't know how to communicate anymore.
Yeah.
You can't sit and have a conversation with anyone anymore. Like, you'll be walking past the street, someone will be looking at you. Like, looking into your soul. Yeah. And it's like, I'm not that type of Arab, but I'll turn around, what the fuck you looking at? Nah, like, what? Do I look good? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
is that why you're looking at me? Like, you're going to say something, say hello.
You just wave at them, Like, how you going, mate? Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, you realise that you sit down and you want to have a conversation with someone. And people are just like, go.
It's because they've come so conditioned to DMing.
Yeah.
And I read a stat the other day that said, look, don't quote me on it, but it was something along the lines of 70% of men aged between 18 and 25 today have never asked a girl out in person.
That's insanity.
That's insane.
That's insane.
Because back in my day, like, we didn't have Instagram, we didn't have Facebook and all that sort of crap. Like, we were forced to communicate, we were forced to approach people, we were forced to, introduce ourselves. But that seems like that's all gone now. Everyone's sitting in the comfort of their bedroom on social media, and it's like, okay, well, what's the worst that's going to happen? I'll shoot this girl a message. If she doesn't respond, there's no embarrassment. She doesn't know me. She's not going to see me. She's not in front of me. But I don't think they realise how detrimental that is to their self-esteem moving forward.
And society.
And their communication skills.
Yeah, definitely. You realise, like, people can't even... even eye contact, bro. Like such small things. You be talking to someone and they'll be just like looking into the fucking wilderness.
It's almost like they feel uncomfortable looking at you in the eye or looking you in the eye.
Bro, just have a conversation.
I actually get uncomfortable if I'm talking to someone and they can't look me in the eye. I feel like either they're not interested in the conversation, they're not engaged in the conversation, or they're not being honest. If someone's talking to me about something and they're not looking me in the eye, I feel like, I don't know, mate. You're not looking me in the eye. Is what you're saying really true? Yeah, so...
100%.
But I guess I come from a different generation.
Yeah, but, bro, to touch on that as well, like, even with, like, relationships and stuff, like, you realise so many people have, like this day and age, I'm talking, like, my era, people, like, argue over the phone and shit, because one party can't actually sit in person and have a conversation because they're afraid to look you in the eye and have the conversation. But over the phone, it's like keyboard warrior.
Because they have the comfort. They have that protection. Like, nothing's going to happen. Worst case, if it doesn't go well, I'll just never answer this guy's calls again.
That's insane. But that's insane.
It's just destroyed communication and self-esteem. I think depression's at an all-time high.
It is.
For people aged between 16 and 30. And I feel a lot of that is because we've lost that connection as humans.
Man, social media, like, working in the industry, I sidetracked hard. I was telling you the story of how I got into television.
No, that's all right.
Social media, like working in the industry, even I say, like, I hate it. I don't even have personal socials. I don't. I manage my business page. I manage clients. And that's about it. I don't even have personal socials.
Yeah.
That's not because I don't believe in it. I believe it's very powerful, especially if you're a business.
Yeah.
But when you're so invested in it, and you find that a lot of people are invested in it, because what it is it's a digital disconnection of your real self. And remember when they were doing all that shit, the metaverse and all of that?
Yeah, back in like 21.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole NFT craze. Yeah.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to make that real life. You can't make that real life. How are you going to make that real life? It doesn't make sense. And that's what people are trying to do. They're trying to make social media real life, to where you can access everything online. And then people are becoming accustomed to, like you said, just DMing someone to have a conversation.
Yeah.
And does it ever leave the DM? But
no.
like, majority of the time.
Well, I mean, it's hard though. Like you got friends on social media. I got friends on social media.
Course.
And it's almost as if like you're living their life with them. You see what they're posting. You see what they're having for breakfast. You see what they're having for dinner. You see their kids growing up. You see the goals they're smashing. So when you actually meet that person or you bump into that person, there's almost nothing to talk about because I've already seen everything. So what am I going to ask you about? Like, hey, Hamz, how you going? But I know how you're going. Exactly, I know what you ate for dinner last night.
Yeah, I don't even know what I ate for dinner last night.
You know what I mean? Yeah, so it's the whole social media thing. It's really caused a disconnect. So it's crazy though, because you're in the industry and you work in the industry. So it's extremely powerful tool on one end, but really detrimental on the other end. So I feel like people need to realize that social media is just a tool, and you need to use that tool to your advantage. It's not real life. People are only showing 5% of their real life. People could be going through the shit, going through hell, but they'll post one picture pretending that everything's okay, and that guy's okay. I'm not going to ask how he's going. He's fine. Then that guy's sitting around at home thinking, no one cares about me, no one asks about me, no one knows what I'm really going through. Well, mate, you're not talking about it.
Of course.
You posted a picture that you're having a steak, at Darling Harbour on a Friday night, so everyone's going to assume you're fine.
100%.
But you're not talking about it.
Men's mental health is a big topic.
Yeah, so it must be hard for you though, because on one end you're trying to push people to be more active on social media, but there's almost that moral dilemma in the back of your head.
Oh, always.
Because we know this isn't real.
Of course.
Yeah.
But that's why, like, with the work that I do, I try to keep it as raw as possible. So what I've realized is a lot of people would tell me, new clients, because I like to focus on creator content. Like, if you look around the world, right, Australia, we're very behind, especially in the social media world. You look at America, bro, they're 10 years ahead of us. Even the UK, they're so far ahead of us. Everyone here tries to make social media so difficult, whether it's for their personal brand or for their business. You don't need to practice. You don't need to have a script. You don't need to do any of that. If you look overseas, you look at the UK, you look at creators, you look in America, there's no script. The camera's just rolling. They're just going with the flow. Over here, I realize with clients, you got to go there. You want to have a full script prepared for them. Bro, what do I need a script? What's the script for? Because what we're showcasing in our business or whatever individual we're showcasing.
We want to see the real you.
The real you, just be yourself.
Yeah, be yourself.
Imagine someone, I say this to everyone, imagine, all right, we're in a business right now, yeah? And someone walked in the door. How would you act? Because that's what you're selling online. If you're going to sell this whole different perception of yourself on the internet, it's never going to work. People can read you through the lens like a book because we spend so much time on the internet. Our brains are so hyper-stimulated with so much information. We see so much. So when someone's fake, you tell straight away. Like if I'm scrolling and I see someone making content, and I can tell by your body language, by the way you speak, like, fuck, this is staged. Off the bat. I'll know there's a script. Like I seen like some girls going grocery shopping for their business. Right? I'm not shitting on them. Props to them, you know, they're on TikTok making content for their business, right? Yeah. But I can see straight away, like they practiced it like a million times.
It loses that authenticity.
Of course, just be you.
Yeah.
Just have a laugh. Turn the camera on. Hey guys, I'm on the Coles. I'm gonna buy some shit for my shop.
Yeah. So why do you think everyone in Australia is overcomplicating it? Like, why do you think that is?
Because they're being too professional for no reason. Why do you need to be so professional? Why? Your business isn't that professional. You're not corporate.
They want everything like refined and edited properly and 4K and no stutter and they want it all perfect. They've almost conditioned themselves that everything has to be perfect.
Human error is beautiful.
Yeah.
Human error is beautiful because at the end of the day, we're not corporate. These people aren't corporates. You're a small business catering to a community, so your area, your suburb, right? These people, look at your market. It's not white collar people that are so perfect. It's people from the area. Yeah, that's who you're catering to. So why are you trying to be all professional and perfect? You know, why are you marketing yourself like a corporate business when you're not a corporate business and your goal isn't to be a corporate business? Your market isn't a corporate business. So why are you marketing it like that? Be raw, be original, be authentic. Because the people you're trying to connect with are people within your own community, people from the suburbs. For every small business, unless you're aiming to be at that corporate level, why would you market yourself at that corporate level?
Because if you're trying to connect with the community and you're not being yourself, then it's going to be very hard for the community to connect with you because a lot of the community know where you come from and they know your background. And then they'll look at you on social media and be like, he's changed. Oh, no, that's not him. That's an act. Yeah. And as soon as they pick up on that, they're done. Like they're not coming out to support you, right?
We don't win.
Yeah.
We can't win. There's no win. There's no win, eh?
Yeah.
Like, look, the way I look at it is like, for example, let's say a chicken shop. Let's say a chicken shop opened up in the area. Yeah. All right? They want to market it. But they're sitting there doing all this fucking polished content, you know? Shooting 8K cameras, high production team, all for a chicken shop in Rockdale. All right, I'm just being hypothetical. Yeah. Right? And then you think to yourself, all right, is a chicken shop really that pretty? Like, bro, the bloke in the back of that shop, he's hating his fucking life. All right? And then they'll sit there, they'll do all this high production shit. They'll chuck it on Instagram and they won't perform. Yeah. And they've spent a lot of money, you know? And then you realise all they had to do, chuck a mic on the bloke making the chicken, turn that camera on, and just get him to talk. Just be himself. Get that raw footage.
People prefer that raw footage. They prefer that the non-staged. Yeah.
Of course, because you know. Yeah. Come on, Billy. Is a chicken shop all sunshine and rainbows?
No, it's not. I mean, it can make it go the other way too. Because if they perfect the burger and they post that burger, you know, and then you go to the store and you order that same burger and it doesn't look like it looked like in that 8K video, then I'm probably not going to go back there. Of course. Because I'm going to think to myself, well, you know,
here.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's not what I expected to get. So yeah, I get what you're saying.
Especially in the area. Like, look, for example, let's say fine dining.
Yes.
That's different. That's fine dining. You want your marketing to be pristine on the point, because that's the experience you're selling.
Yeah.
Chicken shop in the area, when you walk in there, sometimes you don't even get a hello.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
And you got this 8K high production team, lights, camera, action.
And it all becomes repetitive, right?
Yeah, it does.
What I've started to notice is a lot of because food. I feel like food in I don't know about. I won't say Australia. Let's say Sydney. You know, I feel like food in Sydney in the last 12 months, 12 to 18 months has exploded. You know, food trucks everywhere. Burger joints everywhere, kebabs, shawarma, wagyu, brisket, barbecue, all that sort of stuff has exploded, right? Which is great, you know, because we definitely, you know, God knows we needed more places to eat in Sydney. But now I feel like I'm at a point where every burger joint I see on social media, or every chicken store I see on social media, or every shawarma store, it's almost like I'm looking at the same video over and over again.
Sure.
You know, 4K of like the patty going onto the grill, and then they chuck the buns on, and then there's music, and then there's a smile from the guy.
Yeah, man.
You know, and then him flipping the patty, and then putting the patty on, and then the customer tapping his card, and like, come to so-and-so shawarma, you know, we'll look after you, boom, then the video's done. You know, I feel like that's lost its edge, because it's exactly what you're saying. Like, it's very refined, it's very... You know, I'm not getting any authenticity. It all looks the same. So now every burger joint I see looks good. But we all know that's not the case.
Of course.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to sell the product. You don't want to sell the product. You want to sell the experience. In a market now where everything is so hyper-saturated, there's a standard now that's set in every single industry. You want a good burger, you're going to get a good burger.
Yeah.
That's it. There's a burger joint on every corner.
And they're all decent.
Exactly. They're all decent. Because they all make the same fucking burgers.
It's like barbering.
Yeah.
You know, it's like barbering. When I started out barbering, you know, there were a select few barbers around Sydney that you knew that these guys can fade.
Yeah.
You know, I'm talking over 10 years ago. But now, let's be honest, everyone can do a half decent fade.
Yeah, fair.
You know?
Exactly.
You know, and I'm sick of seeing videos online of new barbershops opening, and every barber standing there and saying, welcome to so-and-so barbershop. We're going to change the game, you know? All right, let me look at what you're offering. You're offering haircuts, you're offering skin fades, you're offering hair and beard, you're offering a hot towel, you're offering lollies for the kids, your fit out looks like every other barbershop. So how exactly are you changing the game? I don't understand. You know, saying you're going to change the game and going about doing things exactly how everyone else does things in your industry, it's starting to annoy me a little bit. You know, so if you're going to change the game, change the game.
Of course.
You know?
Of course, but 100%.
And that's where I feel like social media has kind of, a lot of social media agencies have kind of become, they've become very flat.
Yeah, 100%.
Because it's all like the same thing over and over again.
Of course.
And I'm sick of seeing it.
That's why, like, I took that point of difference, you know. I focus on creator content, creator management. But the problem is, like, you have certain clients looking online, oh, but I've seen this, and I tell them, listen, relax. They already know what product you're selling. Everyone knows what product you're selling.
Because they've seen your videos.
And the name of your business.
Yeah.
If it's called This Burger Joint, everyone's going to know it's a fucking burger joint. Everyone knows they're being sold a burger, right? But why am I going to come to you? Why aren't I going to go up the road to the other bloke?
Yeah.
You know? Why?
Yeah.
What's the experience? What's going on there? You know? What's going to make me come here?
Yeah.
And that's where you look at overseas.
Yeah.
In any industry, everyone's content isn't like, unless they've been doing it for 15, 20 years, you know? You see those people that just post products, like photos of their products, you know? And they don't care anymore. They don't need, they're happy, you know? They're content. But for others that want to grow, you see them overseas, especially in America, bro. Everyone, whether they're making pizzas, bro, selling shoes, fucking selling jewelry, no matter what it is, they're all making that creator content.
And I feel like they're getting the customers involved,
of course,
as well. Look at just that guy. What's his name? The guy from New York. The Oki.
Okiway.
You know? Yeah. I mean, he's just got a store and he makes sandwiches, and he's essentially a grocery store that makes sandwiches. You know, it's not like a glamorous business.
No, it's about that
you
guy.
know, but But look what he's turned it into, because he started off getting everyone involved. You know, yes, sir, brother, can I help you? Sure, you know, and that kicked on. And at the start, it was with normal customers, and slowly, he started to build a name for himself. And you know, mini influencers would come along, then macro influencers, and now celebrities. You know, now he's a celebrity himself. He was very authentic to him. He was being who he was, and he got the community involved. Whereas now, you know, people are just, hey man, I need some videos. How much do you charge? I charge $1,000. I'll make you 5 videos. Okay, no worries. 5 videos. I'll post one a week. That lasts me 5 weeks. Oh, that should be all right. And they're the exact same video over and over again, you know? And yeah, it's starting to get a bit repetitive, you know? It's not enticing me to go out and buy that burger anymore.
It's not me neither.
You know?
Me neither, bro. Like I'll say a burger joint and I'll be like, all right, fuck, it just looks like everywhere else.
For me, the experience is a lot better.
Of course.
It is not better, more important, you know? Like Humble Buns is up the road, you know? Personally, I think that they got the best smash burger in Sydney right now.
They got cracker burgers.
You know, unbelievable. Unbelievable. But for the first year, they had next to no marketing. They weren't on social media, you know, but their customer service was great. I used to go there. They were selling me a great product, and their customer service was great. And I felt like I was supporting someone from the community, and that's why I kept going back there. Now they're on social media, and good on them. So they should be. But what I'm trying to say is, making that video isn't the be all or end all. That's not what's going to attract people to your business. It's not that video, you know, because you might have noticed it too. Like you might go out and make these videos for people, and then they upload them, then they don't really get the return they were expecting. And then they sack you. They think, oh, you know what, Hamz didn't do a good job, you know.
But I did my job.
But you did the job that you were hired to do.
Exactly.
You know, so a video isn't going to mask bad customer service. It's not going to mask a bad burger. We keep talking about burgers because we started. It's not going to mask a bad product. You know, the people want the experience. People want to feel comfortable. You know, so I'll always go back to somewhere where I got good experience, good customer service over a video, over a hype.
Of course, bro. Of course, like you can't mask what's real. At the end of the day, you can't mask it. You can't mask price even. You know what I mean? Especially now, this day and age. Everything's expensive. Everything. Hyperinflation has started to happen. Interest rates are through the fucking roof. The cost of living is crazy. Everyone has that same dream. You know? I'm going to work my ass off. I'm going to buy a house. Now you want to work your ass off. You want to buy a house. All right, what? You're going to dump how much for your deposit?
300 grand.
All right.
On average.
Let's say
plus stamp duty.
Yeah, plus stamp duty, bro. Imagine in Bexley.
Yeah.
Bexley, a house.
You need to buy a house in Bexley nowadays, you need about 400 grand in cash.
Easily.
Yeah.
All right. So let's say, cars, all right, let's say hypothetically speaking, a house in Bexley is like 1.4. It's a 1.4 to 1.5 million dollars for a house.
That's for an average house.
An average house, yeah. You're 23, 24 years old. You're going to be in debt so much money. Why? Because you think that, okay, I'm going to buy this house, I'm going to rent it out, and I'm going to make money. Brother, the interest is so high, by the time you've rented it out, how much money are you actually making?
It's still negatively geared. You're not making money. Actually, nowadays, you're putting it out of your pocket.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not. The dream of like buying a property and that's going to save you, that's gone. You know, maybe that would have worked 20, 30 years ago, but the world has shifted. That's not what it's about anymore. I mean, buying a home isn't the be all or end all anymore. You know, if anything nowadays, especially with the way the economy is, it's a trap. You know, unless you're buying an investment property, I wouldn't be buying a home to live in right now for yourself. Go rent where you want to live and buy an investment property like in another state if you have to. 100%. You know, but yeah, it's definitely a different world today compared to what it was back when I was growing up.
It's a very different world.
Yeah.
It's a very different world, like, because I've hung around a lot of people like older than me. Yeah. You know, and that's influenced the way I am, the way I look at things. And because I look at things a lot different to people my age, you know, like a lot of people my age they still go out, they still party, they're still drinking, you know, they travel. Like each to their own at the end of the day. There's
nothing wrong with that. Like everyone's entitled to live how they want to live and spend their money how they want to spend it.
100%.
But it's good to have some sort of a plan.
Of course.
You know, 100%. Some sort of a goal, some sort of a vision.
They live for the weekend, Billy.
Yeah.
Like you'll see people work their ass off Monday to Friday, you know. They work their ass off. It comes Saturday, Sunday, just blowing their paycheck or living the weekend. There's no end goal.
Yeah.
There's no end goal. Because what I've realized is, a friend of mine once told me this. Life, there's no such thing as being stuck in the middle. As you move forward, because life's going forward, you're only going backwards.
Yeah.
It's like an escalator. As you go up, people come down. If they're not going back up with you.
Yeah.
There's no standstill. There's no middle ground.
Yeah.
It's actually a concept in psychology, and I didn't know that until he brought it up to me. And it makes sense. Because like when you move forward, you're moving on to new things, because life's changing every day.
Yeah.
And they're just going back.
Yeah.
They're not stuck in the middle. There is no middle. There's no middle ground. And what I hate to see is, especially within the community, with that what we spoke about before, the tall poppy syndrome. It's like, you'll start moving forward, and everyone will be looking at you. Fuck, what's this bloke doing? Is he caught up in the wrong things? You know, it's all bullshit. He's selling drugs. He's doing this. He's doing that. And it's not like, bro, if you have a conversation with me, we can grow together.
Yeah.
We can all go up the escalator together.
Yeah.
So much room. It's a big fucking escalator, bro.
Yeah, look, there's room for everyone. But unfortunately, a lot of people are stuck in this mentality of like, I want it all for myself, you know, especially within our community. And then you look at other communities, you know, the non-Arab communities, and you see how well they're all doing and how they all work together and how they start businesses and how they, you know, if one person opens a certain business somewhere, that person, no one from the community is going to open next to them. And but for some reason within our community, there's a bit of a problem, I feel, you know, of trying to bring everyone down, or if not bring them down, just, you know, disregard what they've achieved by he must be selling drugs, or he must be doing something dodgy, you know, he must be washing money or something, you know, because it almost makes them feel better about themselves because they feel like they're in a certain situation or they're stuck and they haven't moved anywhere for an specific period of time. But it's wrong. You know, it's wrong. It's wrong. And like I said, you really only notice it when you leave Australia and you go overseas. And that's why travel is important, you know. Not travel to go get pissed and party and all that sort of stuff, but it's good to travel to experience other cultures, experience other countries and how they operate and how the people are and what support networks are like, and very different to the rest of the world here.
True.
But I guess a lot of that goes back to social media, you know. A lot of that goes back to social media and how people perceive you to be on social media. You would see a lot more of it than I do because you actually work in social media. So
I hate it when people put on an act.
Yeah,
I hate it
because I'm sure you've had clients before that you've gone to meet and who you've met and who you've seen on social media are two different people.
100%. Even new clients, people that approach me and be like, hey, I want to do this and this. In all honesty, bro, I don't want your money. Let me alone. If I'll take your money if it's gonna work.
Yeah.
If I know that I'm gonna give you and it's gonna work, I don't want your money. It's not about money. It's bigger than that. I have a brand I'm trying to build. It's not just a business. It's not about the short term for me. It's about the long term.
Yeah.
So if I know that it's not gonna work, I won't take that job.
Because as much as you're trying to help the customer, you're building your brand too.
Of course.
You know, you don't want to dilute your brand.
No way. With bad energy, bro, and bad people, no way. Because you realize, like, look, social media is not rocket science.
Yeah.
Every client I've had a meeting with in the past about 3 to 6 months, I've told them, social media is not rocket science. It's very simple. You be authentic, you be raw, it grows.
Yeah.
All right? But a business has a ceiling. A business has a ceiling. Let's say a barbershop.
Yeah.
There's only so much hair you can cut in a barbershop.
Yeah.
It hits a point where it's like, okay, we've hit our peak, all right? It goes down a little bit and you find your medium. Then you're making X amount of money almost every single week.
Yeah.
It might be up and down.
Yeah.
But every single business has a ceiling. So if you're going to sit and you want to put money into growing your social media platform, why are you growing it to cater for people on foot? Why aren't you going to cater for the digital marketplace?
Yeah.
And in every single industry, there's something you can sell in the digital world. If you've put that much money in to build a digital platform, so that's you've invested. Yeah. You've invested to have that much people following you, that much people looking at you. All right. Now you get, let's say you're getting 8,000 views a video. Yeah. Right. That's about, let's say 4,000 to 6,000 people. 4,000 to 6,000 people, bro. That's a lot of people.
That is a lot of people.
If you sell a low cost item, right? Let's say you sell an item $20. Yeah. To your audience, which is interested in whatever you do. All right, let's say barbering, and you sell a comb. Oh, fuck it, not a comb. You're not going to buy a comb for $20, eh? You're going to buy a comb for $20?
You can buy a comb for $20.
I'll say
Yeah.
buy a comb.
You can say a comb, yeah.
All right, let's say you buy a comb for $20. And 2,000 of those people buy that comb. Brother, you're making money.
Yeah.
You're making money. And don't forget that it's not just going to be your followers seeing your product. It's going to be the whole world. You've got a market. All right, there's 4 billion people on social media. How many of them are men?
Yeah.
That's your market. You have access to that at the click of a button. So when I made a business now and I tell them, listen, you want me to do your social media? No worries. I'll do it. Number one, this is the first thing. All right? You want to work with me? This is number one.
Yeah.
It's not because Shaif Halo or anything. It's because I don't want people to come back and sit and look at me and tell me, hey, bro, it doesn't work, this and that. No.
Yeah.
I know what I do works. Why? Because overseas, it's been working for everyone.
Yeah.
And how has it been working? Because they've just been themselves.
Yeah.
You roll the camera, be authentic, be organic. People will connect with you.
Yeah.
It's the same thing in person. When you meet someone brand new, you meet someone new in the street. The second you get a bad vibe, it's like, fuck that, I don't want to associate.
Yeah.
Same thing online.
Yeah.
The second you find someone to be real and authentic, you want to connect. That's it.
Yeah.
On a personal level. And I realize people find that very hard to do because they're sitting there trying to put a fucking act on. Brother, be yourself. Be you. Have a laugh. You don't need to be a hard cunt. You don't need to be a gangster. You don't need to be cool. Just be you, bro. Be authentic. Human error is beautiful.
Yeah.
Stutter your words.
Yeah.
Say the wrong letter. Say the wrong word. You know, cut your sentences short. I don't know. Be you. You don't have to be perfect.
And in your experience, people connect with that a lot more.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course they do. Because they see that you're a human being.
A human touch to it.
That's the difference.
Because they don't feel like you're trying to sell them something.
Of course.
You know?
Exactly.
Because when you're reading a script or everything's so refined, like a TV commercial, you know, you feel like he's just trying to sell me something.
Definitely.
You know? As opposed to like, oh, I like this guy. He's cool, you know? Oh, he sells stuff. What does he sell? You know what? I want to buy something from him. I want to support this guy.
Fuck yeah.
You know? There's the difference.
Big difference.
There's the difference, you know? But look, I guess imposter syndrome is real, you know? So maybe a lot of people, they do want to get in front of the camera, they do want to talk, but they just feel like within themselves, as you were talking about earlier, self-sabotage, they feel like, oh, you know, is this really me? Are people going to judge me? You know, are people going to think less of me? Are they going to laugh at me? You know, and I think the script kind of makes people feel comfortable because they don't have to think about what they're going to say, which means they're not being themselves. But even when I first started making videos, you know, the reason I wanted to start making videos wasn't for like Insta fame or anything. And it wasn't even because I want to sell a product eventually. Yes, I had a business and I wanted to build the brand and the awareness for my business. But at the same time, I felt like, okay, there's an influx of barbers. You know, barbering has become one of the most sought after careers in multiple countries because it's seen as cool and it's seen as, you know, social and like you're a rock star if you're a good barber and all that sort of stuff, which is great. You know, it's good for the industry. You know, the more barbers there are, the better. But I feel like people kind of lost their way a little bit. You know, no one was talking, no one was educating. It almost became like, buy my course, buy my course, buy my course. I'll teach you how to cut hair, buy my course. You know, I'll teach you how to cut hair, buy my course. And I used to think to myself, oh, that's great. You know, you want to teach people how to cut hair, you know. But my opinion is cutting hair is a skill. You know, it's a skill that I believe anyone can learn. If you apply yourself, you can learn how to cut hair. If you apply yourself even more, you can master the art of cutting hair. You can be a master barber. But knowing how to cut hair and knowing how to give a good fade isn't what's going to bring people back to you. Because you see it time and time again. And I've seen it in my stores with certain barbers and certain employees that I've had in the past. You know, absolute gun hairdressers, absolute gun barbers, you know, the best in the city, right? Customer will come in, they'll sit with that barber, they'll get the best haircut they've ever had, and then they'll leave and they'll never come back. You know, why aren't they coming back? But I gave them a great haircut. Okay, but did you talk to them? Did you make them feel welcome? Did you make them feel comfortable? You know, did you discuss their hair product needs? Did you ask them or give advice on when they should come in next? You know, So it's not just about the haircut; it's about the experience. You know, you see it time and time again. How often are you in a shopping center or are you on the street and you see a guy walk past and he's got like a half-assed haircut? You know, but that guy is still going back to his barber every single week, and he probably knows it's a half-assed haircut. Why? Because he's happy, he feels comfortable where he's going. He's getting that service. He's getting that love. He's getting that, you know, so I'm going back because I want to go back to you. You know, I'm not going back because, you know what I mean?
Of course, yeah, definitely, bro.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
So I started making videos essentially because I wanted to educate a lot of the younger barbers, because what I started seeing happening was, look at my fade, look at my fade, look at my fade. I'm the best barber. I'm the best barber. He's the best barber. He's the best. Okay, you're all good. You can all fade. That's fantastic. How are your social skills? You know, how's your customer service? You know, and that's why I started making videos, because I wanted to educate the younger barbers on running a business, running a barbershop, not just cutting hair. But even when I first started making videos, I was wary about it. I was, in my head, should I post it? Should I not post it? Are people going to think, what's this guy talking about? But as Gary V always says, just post.
100%.
Just post. Be you. Just post. You're bound to find someone around the world that's going to resonate with what you're posting. There's that, as you said, 4 billion people on social media. You got to be bound to find a few thousand that are going to resonate with what you're.
It's a lot of people, bro.
Yeah.
I can agree, bro. Like when I first started doing my own content, and I posted my first video,
you probably were freaking out before you posted it.
Because the thing was, I used to make content for social media, like skits and shit. Back when I was when I was 17, 18 years old, I was still in high school, year 12, COVID. I just used to make skits. I used to have a laugh, and that shit was popping off. Like my TikTok was building. It was building. I was getting bare views, bro. Minimum 50,000 views a video. Minimum, like standard, just for making a funny skit. Not even doing like dancing trends and shit. I just have a laugh, and then I stopped, and it was like, okay. Back then I was doing it for fun. I was young. Now I'm doing it for serious. Like this is a business. I'm trying to build a brand. So it's like, fuck, I'm doing something different, coming from the area, especially talking about what I talk about, go hustle, like chase your dreams. If you say it, believe it, that whole concept. It's so different for people here, I don't shit on people working a 9 to 5. Some people take what I say wrong. If you're going to work a 9 to 5, it's a hustle. All right? No worries. Hustle. Because we need people like that in certain industries. You have to have them.
Yeah.
But with that being said, it doesn't mean don't go and hustle and do your own thing on the side, make your own money. You know what I mean? Don't be stuck in that rat race, that loop, that constant wake up, brush your teeth, shower.
Unless you're happy with that.
Unless you're happy.
If you're not happy with that, you got to do something about it.
Of course. But come on, like, who's really happy with that? Let's be real. You're like a robot. Like me personally, because my mind is programmed different. Yeah. And yours is too. Yeah. You know what I mean? But we need people that do work a 9 to 5 to make. Without them, businesses wouldn't thrive. That's the truth. We need them. Yeah. But with that being said, don't stop there. Work your 9 to 5. It's a hustle, bro. I respect you 100%. But then again, like, do something else. Do your own thing. You know what I mean? Sell shit online. Cut hair at home. Fucking, I don't know, bro. Sell cookies, bro. Bake cookies. Do something else. You know what I mean? Don't complain about, he's making more money than me. I need a pay rise. Bro, the market's open. The digital world is huge.
Yeah, it's never been easier to make money online than today.
It's so easy to make money online.
My mum was talking to me about one of her friends the other day, and this woman would probably be in her mid to late 50s, And my mum was telling me, like, she started an eBay store. Like, she's selling on eBay. I go, what's she selling? She goes, she'll go into the supermarket, and whatever's on special or is really, really cheap, she'll just buy a bunch of it. Then she'll sell it on eBay and Amazon, for normal price. And it's selling. And she's making thousands of dollars a month. And you should go see her house now. It's full of stock. And now she's going and buying pallets of things. And she's just selling everyday goods, But she's making money, it just goes back to what you're saying. You can make money with anything online nowadays if you really apply yourself. That's not to say you're going to start something you're going to blow up overnight.
No way.
But if you put in the hours, man, if you put in the work, you know, you'll make it work.
Of course. The days of blowing up overnight are gone.
Mm.
And you might blow up overnight. Don't get me wrong. You might make a one-hit wonder. But it doesn't matter. You can make that one-hit wonder. But I promise you, tomorrow, that's it. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
See you later. They've forgotten about you. Because everything is so hyper-saturated. And something I mentioned before is we're always hyper-stimulated.
Yeah.
We're always seeing, we're always consuming so much information.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy. Information. It's different to picking up a book, opening the page, and reading. It's so much different. Everything is just constant bursts of little short dopamine hits and information.
Yeah.
And because of that, number one, it's fucked our attention span. Our attention span is gone. I remember back in high school, in like year 7 or year 8, my science teacher, he was like, your attention span, the average 15-year-old student is like 7 minutes. Bro, what 7 minutes?
Yeah.
When I'm telling a client what to do, I go, brother, you got 3 seconds to capture their attention. 3 seconds. You have to have a hook for a video. 3 seconds.
Yeah.
This bloke used to tell me 7 minutes. People only have 3 seconds.
Now they do, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
3 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what, man? I'm probably guilty of that too.
I'm guilty of it too.
If I'm scrolling through social media and if something doesn't grab my attention straight away, if it takes 30 seconds to get to the point, then I'm out of there.
Of course.
Yeah.
I'm out of there too.
It's crazy that it's unfortunate that we shouldn't be like that.
No, we shouldn't, but I'm guilty of it as well.
Yeah.
And when I do content with people, like the way I explain things to them, I explain it from a consumer's perspective. Because I'm a consumer.
Yeah.
I spend my money. I consume products and services. That is me. So as a consumer, as someone who spends time on social media consuming certain things, this is how I believe you should do it.
Yeah.
And this is what works. And trust me. For example, Jaloo.
Yeah.
All right. When we started making social media content, right? Because I walked into Jaloo's shop with my high school laptop, my backpack, and my phone. Al, let me do your social media. Al looked at me, and he goes, yeah, we'll talk about it. You know, brushed it off at the start. Who the fuck's this kid? He's been approached, mind you, at the start, he was approached by every fucking Tom, Dick, and Harry.
Yeah, he would have been, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Who's this little kid on an average Tuesday walking in, telling me, let me do your social media? Yeah?
Yeah.
Anyways, I left it there. I went back. Come on, Al, let's start. You know what I mean? I took my laptop, I opened up a Microsoft Word document.
Yeah.
I've done a full marketing analysis of his business.
Yeah.
And I've never done one in my life, you know? But I paid attention in high school. I'd always done research into business and shit. Everything is accessible, bro.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie about that.
It's all there for you.
Just fucking search it up on the internet. How to do a marketing analysis. What questions to ask. You know what I mean?
With ChatGPT now, it's even easier.
It's all there, bro. I'm not a fucking genius.
Yeah.
It's all in front of my face. So I went through that, and then something you said before, Okiway. That's what inspired me. So all of Jaloo's videos at the start, welcome back to Jaloo, all of that was inspired by Okiway. Because I saw Okiway, and I remember showing it out. I was like, hey, look at what this bloke does. It works. Look at him. We have to do that. Not be like him, not steal his idea, no.
Yeah.
But you say something working,
you
double down on it.
Yeah.
Double down on it. Look at the concept, the way he does his videos. It's just natural. He's talking to the customers. Same thing. Took that concept, applied it to Jaloo.
It's not even like a high-end camera. It's just a phone as well.
Just a phone.
Yeah.
And some Amazon mics.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I've upgraded from those Amazon mics now.
Yeah.
I've fucking got DJI Mark 2s now. You know, we're balling in the mic world. But it started with that and the phone, and the content was raw.
Yeah.
And at the start, of course, when me and El started making content, of course, El's gonna be like, "Fuck, what do I say? You know, am I saying the right thing?" And I used to tell him, bro, shush, listen to me, breathe in, breathe out, take it easy.
Yeah.
When I say rolling, be you.
Yeah.
Pretend the camera's not on. Because let's say I take this camera away, let's say this thing here, let's see, I put it down. How are you gonna react to that customer?
Yeah.
However way you'd react when the camera's not rolling is exactly how I want you to react.
Yeah.
And now he's accustomed to it. So when you say Ali on camera, and you walk into that shop, hey baby boy, that's Ali Jaloo.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Hey lovely, that's Ali Jaloo.
Yeah.
And there's no disconnect. He's the exact same person.
Yeah.
But we had to program him. I had to program him into being that. Like, there's no script. You just be you, my brother.
And I feel like that's when his social media really started to blow up.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he was being himself.
Of course.
because he's, you know, everyone is their own character, you know, and you want to take people along the journey with you authentically.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
So what's next for Envision, man?
Bro,
Like what's the end goal here? What's the ultimate goal?
I want to get into clothing.
Clothing. Yeah.
I want to get into clothing. Lifestyle, streetwear. I have so many ideas. But like, it's just a matter of doing it. I don't want to do it right. I know exactly how I'm going to do it. I'm not going to give away too much. But like, even when I made some shirts, and I posted them on my Instagram.
Yeah.
People started DMing me, telling me, "Hey, bro, when are you going to release these shirts?" I don't even know some of these people.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, "Fuck, bro! Like, there's actually people like, because the whole point of Envision, it's like the slogan: if you say it, believe it.
Yeah.
If you say something, you best believe it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
If you can picture it in your head, you know. And you know what? Like, I live up to that because sometimes I'll be with my clients and like I'll be zoning out, and they'll be like talking to me, and I'll be like, "1 sec." I'm just picturing it in my head. Yeah. And they'll be like, "What the fuck? What's this bloke doing?" And I'm like, "Bro, I'm like full picture everything in my head." And a lot of people, you know, when they say something, like they picture something, they question it. Like, oh, it's not possible. It's impossible. Nothing's out of reach, bro. Yeah. Nothing. And that's what I don't want my brand to be about. I want it to be, I say this a lot, the dream chasers. People that have a dream, chase it. No matter what it is, chase your dreams. You know, don't let people put you down. And the biggest competition is yourself. And I'm guilty of that. My biggest competition is myself. Some days I wake up and I'm like, fuck, is this really what I want to do? Yeah. And then I bump into someone. But I bumped into this kid once. I swear to God, that Palermo Perfumes in Hurstville. I walked in there, right? I was just such out the shop. Never been there in my life. Jalou, I love you. I didn't buy anything. I didn't buy nothing, I promise. I just walked in there and I was tripping out. Yeah. Anyways, this kid comes up to me. Hey, how are you? And then I looked at it. He looked at me. I go, oh, assalamu alaikum, my bro. How you doing? He goes, bro, aren't you? I go, aren't you in Vision? I was like, yeah, bro. He goes, bro, I didn't have a job before this. He goes, I watched your video. I signed up to a barbering course in TAFE, and I got my first job because of you. But I stood there, I was in complete fucking disbelief. Because the whole point of what I do, I don't want to be a celebrity. I don't want to be famous. I couldn't give a fuck about that. I just want to be a normal bloke, walks in the street, you know, I can grab a coffee. Like Keanu Reeves, look at him. He rides his bike, walks in the street, grabs a coffee, jumps on the subway. But I still catch the train when I go to the city. You know what I mean? I don't need to call an Uber. I like jumping on the train, putting my headphones on and shit. You know, it's all cute and that. You know what I mean? And like, this kid, like, I was like, fuck. Like, what I'm doing is really inspiring people. Because I want to inspire the younger generation. Yeah. I want them to pick themselves up, hustle, you know, start working, make their own money. Yeah. Be independent, chase their dreams, and not be told, oh, you can't do it. Yeah. Unless it's completely and utterly fucking ridiculous, like it goes against morals and society and shit like that, of course not. But if it's something that's good and it's beneficial for you, but chase it. Chase it. Don't stop for no one. Even your family. Especially when you're like Lebanese, you come from a family where, of course, they want the best for you. Yeah. I love my mum and my dad. I love them. They've always wanted the best for me. They've kept me out of a lot of shit. Like a lot of shit. Especially when you're Leba, you're from the area, you can get caught up, mixed up in certain things. Very easily.
Very easy to fall into the wrong crowd.
So easy to. It's so easy to. And we've all been there. It's not lie. We've all been there. But how many of us actually make it out and actually choose like, fuck, this isn't for me. I'm going to take a step away. It doesn't make you a pussy. It doesn't make you a wuss. No. It makes you a smart man. Because people like that, they're not really gangster. They're not. They're not gangster. What's so gangster about having all this money, but you still got to look over your shoulder? And then once something happens to you, where's all your money, mate?
That's true.
Where is it? All these little youngins, they're trying to run around, want to be gangsters. All right, you want to be, who you trying to impress?
Yeah, you want to show them a different alternative route.
Of course.
In life.
Being gangsters, being a real man, bro. Doing your job. You want to protect, you want to provide. That's your job as a man. Do it the right way. You want to be able to walk in.
And the feeling of actually building something legitimately, you know, from the ground up and hitting that goal that you set. There's no feeling like that in the world, you know. You know, quick money is not going to give you that feeling.
No way. Hard work. It says a lot about who you are as a person. Anyone can make easy money. Yeah. Anyone. We live in Australia. Australia is the highest consumers of cocaine per capita in the world. Anyone can make easy money. Just because you're doing it doesn't mean you're a gangster. It doesn't mean you're a sick cunt. It doesn't mean any of that. It doesn't mean shit.
Mm.
It means you're an idiot.
Yeah.
You're the pussy, bro. Because
Yeah.
you're not willing to take the risk to work hard.
Mm.
You're the pussy. Everyone walks around, you know, like acting all sick. Oh, bro, I've got 4 phones. Ring, I'm a mad cunt, you know. I've got all this cash. All right. We look at the world we live in now.
Yeah.
It's your cash, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, cash is important. Cash is king at the end of the day, 100%.
Mm.
But what is it? What does it mean?
Yeah.
On a business level, bro.
Mm.
Unless you're really like well and truly like, yeah, right, you're doing what you're doing, fair enough. But you're actually smart.
Yeah.
Like in the legitimate world, how are you gonna get far in your life?
Yeah.
Because everyone that does that ends up going legitimate at one stage, true?
Yeah.
They all do.
Yeah.
Because they come to the realization, what the fuck am I gonna do with all this money?
Mm.
What am I gonna do? So then why not do it legit from the start?
Yeah. So essentially, you're trying to build a culture to
Yeah.
kind of guide the next generation.
Of course.
You know, that's awesome, man. I like that. I resonate with that a lot.
Of course.
That's the reason I do a lot of why I do a lot of what I do. So, but yeah, no, I can see how you could build a clothing brand off the back of that. You know, and I imagine that with your energy, if you keep pumping this energy into whatever it is you're doing, then I have no doubt it'll be successful, you know. I look at your videos now, and I think I've messaged you a few times. Hey, man, that's a cool video. You know, that's a cool concept. You know, we should do something like that. We should, like, you know. So, you've come a long way, man, in a very short period of time. So you should be proud of that.
Scares me, eh?
Yeah.
Fuck, it's like, fuck, what's next?
Yeah, you should be proud of that. But hey, like, it's, you know, you've set your goal, and I'm sure you're gonna hit it.
Alhamdulillah. I hope so, bro, for both of us, bro.
Yeah.
For both of us. Because, like, I've noticed, like, one thing you can't do is get comfortable. Because when you're not comfortable, you're doing everything you can in your power so everything doesn't go wrong. But when you're comfortable, you just tend to look the other way.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, everything comes crashing down. Boom.
Yeah.
And, like, I tell myself all the time, the second I get comfortable, I feel it. I start getting anxious. I'm like,
Yeah.
fuck, bro, I can't do this. You know, I need to stay uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because when I'm uncomfortable, it's like, fuck, this, I can't let anything go wrong. I can't, I'm so pedantic. No, this can't happen. Just got to stay on the ball. You know, and it's a good trait to have.
Yeah.
It's hard to program yourself. And a lot of kids, like, they get too comfortable. They get way too comfortable. And then because they get comfortable, they never really end up, they'll be going in such a good direction. They'll be excelling. And then all of a sudden, everything will come to a standstill. And it's like, whoa. And I'm not saying to people, don't be content with your life. Like, alhamdulillah, you know, I'm Muslim, you know, I'm content, you know, alhamdulillah. Every time I get something, alhamdulillah. Every time something's taken away from me, alhamdulillah. You know, I'm content. But wanting more, it's not because I want more in terms of materialistic ones. I want freedom. I want to be free. I want to be able to, when I do get married, inshallah, when I do have kids, I want to be able to wake up in the morning, like, fuck this, I don't want to go to work. I want to go get a coffee. Just sit down for an hour and watch the fucking seagulls at the beach.
Yeah.
That's what I want. I don't want to be famous. I don't want to be, you know, I don't want that. I just want to be a normal average guy that's comfortable and I'm free. I'm free to do what I want and what I please to do. Just kick it. You know? That's all I want.
Very inspiring, bro.
Yeah.
Very inspiring. Nah, look, I have no doubt you're going to get there, Hamz.
Inshallah.
It's been an absolute pleasure, brother.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's a lot of gems in this pod that we've spoken about that's really going to resonate with a lot of the younger generation as well. So well done. Keep it up. Keep doing what you're doing. And I'm sure we're going to be working together for a long time to come.
Inshallah. Thank you, my bro.
Thank you, Hamz.